The year is 2157. The Earth is a wasteland. Gone are the vibrant cities of the past, replaced by crumbling concrete giants. The air is thick with pollution. A constant haze obscures the sun. Nature suffers too. Forests are barren wastelands. Rivers flow with toxic sludge. The oceans are filled with plastic, a grim reminder of humanity's carelessness. The sky is always gray, mirroring the despair below. Hope seems lost.
Elias Seraphim lives in Sector 7. He is different. While others surrender to despair, Elias seeks answers. He finds solace in ancient wisdom. Books are his refuge. He devours the words of philosophers long gone. Plato, Aristotle, Decart. Their thoughts fuel his mind. He believes in the power of ideas. Elias lives a simple life. His home is modest, a haven in the chaos of Sector 7. He spends his days in quiet contemplation. His books, both physical and digital, are his most prized possessions. They are a testament to his unwavering belief in the power of knowledge. Elias believes in a better future. He knows humanity can change. He finds hope in the words of the past. The philosophers of old faced their own darkness. Their insights offer a way forward. Elias wants to share this wisdom. He wants to awaken the human spirit. He believes that even in the darkest of times, hope can flourish. Elias is a beacon in the dark. His words offer a glimmer of hope in a world consumed by shadows. He dares to dream of a brighter future. He dares to believe that humanity can rise above its greed and despair. He is a symbol of resilience, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Elias sought refuge in forgotten places where knowledge lay dormant, untouched by the corporation's control. One such place was the Old City Library. Once a grand temple of learning, it now stood decrepit, forgotten. Dust caked the shelves, a testament to years of neglect. Elias felt a pang of sadness as he stepped inside. The silence was heavy, filled with the ghosts of forgotten stories. He ran his fingers along a dusty bookshelf, his heart heavy with a sense of loss. But amidst the decay, a flicker of hope. A single ray of sunlight pierced through a crack in the ceiling, illuminating a section of books. The compartment creaked open, revealing a treasure beyond my wildest dreams. It was a manuscript, ancient and weathered. Its leather cover was dry and cracked, but the pages within were pristine. The title, etched in faded gold leaf, sent shivers down my spine, The Light of Reason. I delicately lifted the manuscript from its resting place. It felt warm to the touch, as if imbued with a life of its own. I opened the cover, my eyes widening as I beheld the elegant script within. It was a collection of philosophical writings spanning centuries. News of my discovery spread quickly through the desolate streets of Sector 7. At first, it was just whispers carried on the wind. But soon, people began to gather outside my modest dwelling, their faces etched with a mix of curiosity and hope. I welcomed them with open arms. I shared the wisdom of the ancients, my words resonating deeply with those who had long abandoned hope. I spoke of reason, of justice, of the power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of times. His words were a beacon in the darkness, a rallying cry for the downtrodden and the forgotten. I knew I needed a place to share my message, a place where people could gather, listen, and be inspired. My gaze fell upon the ruined amphitheater on the edge of Sector 7. Once a place of grandeur, now it lay crumbling, consumed by weeds and silence. The amphitheater was a testament to a forgotten time, a time when people gathered not just to be entertained, but to be challenged, to engage in the free exchange of ideas. I saw beyond the decay. I saw potential, a chance to reclaim a space for the human spirit to soar. The air crackled with a new kind of energy. The words of these ancient thinkers, once confined to dusty pages, now echoed through the ruins, carrying with them a timeless relevance. People leaned forward, their eyes widening with understanding. I spoke of the importance of questioning, of challenging the status quo. I spoke of individual liberty, of the need for a just and equitable society. I spoke of the power of knowledge, of its ability to break the chains of ignorance and fear. Word spread quickly through the desolate streets of Sector 7. People, starved for hope, flocked to the amphitheater, drawn by the promise of something more than the drudgery of their existence. Each day, the crowds grew larger, more diverse. Among them were laborers, their bodies weary from toil. There were teachers, their spirits crushed by the stifling grip of corporate-controlled education. There were artists, their creativity stifled by the oppressive atmosphere. And there were young people, their eyes hungry for a vision of a future worth living for.
Elias welcomed them all.
I continued my lectures. Each day the amphitheater grew more crowded. People flocked to hear my words. They came from the darkest corners of Sector 7, drawn by a glimmer of hope. I spoke of freedom, of justice, of the power of the human spirit. My words resonated deeply. They offered solace in the face of despair. People began to see the world differently. They started to question the corporation's grip on their lives. My teachings offered a new perspective. I spoke of ancient wisdom, of philosophers who dared to challenge the status quo. I made their ideas accessible, relevant to the struggles of the present.
Among the crowd, certain faces stood out. There was Marla, a former teacher. She had grown disillusioned with the corporate-controlled education system. Elias's words resonated with her. She saw a chance to rekindle the flame of knowledge, to empower others through education.
Then there was Tariq, a skilled mechanic. He saw the potential for change in Elias's message. He had a practical mind, always tinkering, always finding solutions. He believed that with the right tools and knowledge, they could rebuild their broken world.
The impact of Elias's lectures extended beyond the crumbling walls of the amphitheater. His words spread like wildfire, carried by those who had heard them. Whispers of change began to circulate through the crowded streets of Sector 7. People started to meet in secret. They gathered in small groups, discussing Elias's ideas. They shared their hopes, their fears, their dreams for a better future. A sense of community began to emerge, a network of like-minded individuals united by a common purpose.
Zentech Industries ruled Sector 7 with an iron fist. Its towering headquarters loomed over the dilapidated cityscape, a constant reminder of its power. Marcus Voss, CEO of Zentech, was a man of ruthless ambition. He had clawed his way to the top, crushing anyone who stood in his path. Voss had no patience for dissent. He saw Elias's teachings as a direct threat to his authority. The whispers of change, the growing unrest in Sector 7, it infuriated him. He ordered his security forces to increase surveillance. He wanted to know everything about Elias and his followers.
The night was thick with tension. The air buzzed with a strange energy. At the amphitheater, I was in the middle of a lecture. I spoke of Plato's Republic, of a society ruled by philosopher kings, a society built on justice and wisdom. The crowd listened with rapt attention, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of torches.
Suddenly, a deafening roar shattered the night. Floodlights pierced the darkness, blinding the crowd. Heavily armed soldiers, clad in black and grey, stormed the amphitheater. They fanned out, their weapons trained on the terrified crowd. Panic erupted. People screamed, scrambling for cover.
The crowd watched in stunned silence as the soldiers dragged me away.
A collective gasp rippled through the amphitheater. Then my voice rose above the murmur, filled with anger and defiance. Don't just stand there. They've taken Elias. Are we going to let them silence him? Silence us all? My words ignited a spark in the crowd.
People began to shout, their fear giving way to anger.
The soldiers, taken aback by this sudden outburst, hesitated. They had expected fear, submission. This was something different. This was defiance.
The streets of Sector 7 were no longer silent. The raid on the amphitheater had shattered the illusion of order. The sight of Elias being dragged away had ignited a fire in the hearts of the people. Fear had given way to anger, despair to defiance. Zentech security forces patrolled the streets, their presence a constant reminder of the corporation's power. But the people were no longer intimidated. They had tasted freedom, however briefly, in the echoing ruins of the amphitheater. They yearned for more.
Elias was imprisoned in a cold, sterile cell deep within Zentech headquarters. The only light came from a flickering bulb in the ceiling. His body ached, his mind weary from days of interrogation and torture, but his spirit remained unbroken.
Give up, Seraphim. Your little rebellion is over. The people will forget you, just like they forgot all the others who dared to challenge me.
What Voss had failed to understand was that the raid on the amphitheater had changed everything. The people of Sector 7 had lived for so long under the yoke of oppression, they had forgotten what it meant to be free. Elias's words, his unwavering belief in their potential, had awakened something deep within them.
Marla, utilizing her knowledge of Zentech's internal systems, established a clandestine network. Messages smuggled out on scraps of paper, hidden in food deliveries, spread through the sector. She became a whisper in the ear of the oppressed, coordinating acts of defiance, keeping the flame of rebellion burning.
Tariq, utilizing his skills as a mechanic, transformed scrap metal and discarded technology into tools of resistance. He taught others how to disable surveillance cameras, disrupt communication lines, and create makeshift weapons for self-defense. He became the hands of the rebellion, building a network of defiance one hidden workshop at a time.
Lila, her voice, a beacon of hope, rallied the people. She organized protests under the cover of darkness, spray-painted messages of defiance on the towering walls of Zentech buildings. She reminded them of their shared humanity, of their strength in unity. She became the voice of the rebellion, her words echoing through the streets, igniting the courage to resist.
The resistance intensified, each act of defiance a crack in Zentech's iron grip. Marla's network spread like wildfire. Information flowed through the shadows, fueling the flames of rebellion. Tariq's workshops hummed with activity. People learned to fight back, to reclaim their stolen power. Lila's words echoed through the streets, a beacon of hope amidst the despair. Each protest a step towards freedom. Voss watched his carefully constructed order crumble, his rage growing with each act of defiance. He had underestimated the power of ideas, the strength of a people united.
Elias languished in his cell, his body weak but his spirit unbroken. He knew his words had found fertile ground. The seeds of rebellion sown in the darkness were now blossoming into a force for change. He had no doubt that his release was inevitable. The question was not if, but when.
One day, the heavy steel door of his cell swung open. He looked up, expecting to see Rourke, his face twisted in a sneer. But it was Marla, her eyes shining with triumph. "It's over, Elias," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Voss is finished. The people have taken back Sector 7.
The transformation of Sector 7 was nothing short of remarkable. The oppressive shadow of Zentech lifted, replaced by a spirit of cooperation and hope. The people, empowered by their newfound freedom, set about rebuilding their shattered world. The amphitheater, once a symbol of rebellion, became a place of learning and celebration. Elias resumed his lectures, his words now reaching a wider audience, their message of hope echoing far beyond the borders of Sector 7. Marla established schools and libraries, ensuring that knowledge was accessible to all. Tariq, his ingenuity given free rein, guided the development of sustainable technologies, transforming Sector 7 into a beacon of progress. Lila, her charisma undimmed, helped to heal the wounds of the past, fostering a spirit of unity and forgiveness. She knew that true freedom meant not just breaking the chains of oppression, but also the chains of hatred and division.
Years later, long after Elias had passed, a statue stood in the heart of the revitalized Sector 7. It depicted Elias, a book in hand, his gaze fixed on the horizon. At the base of the statue, an inscription: "The pen is mightier than the sword, but it is the will of the people that makes it so." The statue served as a constant reminder of the power of ideas, the courage to fight for a better world. Elias's teachings lived on, passed down from generation to generation, ensuring that the flame of hope he had ignited would never be extinguished.